Good morning, Stampers. It's Monday morning. It's almost 10 a.m. in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Teppy Schwartzel, and I'm with Arid Desert Design, and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I'm going to just wait a couple minutes because I'm a few minutes early, but I just wanted to see if this comes up right. Not having a good morning. Everything seemed to want to record on its side again. I don't know where or how it changes itself. So my camera is in a funky position right now, and waiting to see who's going to come on and whether or not this video is going to come up, which I'm hoping it does. There it is. Okay, so we're good to go. As I said, I am Teppy Schwartzel, and I'm in Anthem, Arizona, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And the name of my company is ariddesertdesigns.com. Now, you're not going to see my wonderful face today because it's a really bad hair day. I desperately need a haircut, and it's just not working today. So rather than you have to look at this ugly puss today, we're just going to do everything with regard to the card and get on to it. One of the things that I tell you all the time is this is my host code. And if you order anything on my Stampin' Up! Website, and it's under $150, please use this host code. If it's $150 or more, do not use that host code because you will get perks and special things from Stampin' Up! Now, one of the things to let you know about, and the other thing is when you go on my blog, this is my blog, ariddesertdesigns.com. This host code will be on the right-hand side of the blog, so it will always be available for you to find. But this is the current host code, and please use that if you have an order under $150. One of the things with regard to business, this is the new mini catalog. It will come out to the general public January the 3rd. I cannot show you anything other than the cover. And Celebration is also coming January the 3rd. By purchasing certain things in the mini catalog, and mini, I mean there are 75 pages. If you purchase anything out of this catalog, January the 3rd, and it goes through June, I'm not sure what the date is in June, there are certain gifts that you will get when you reach a milestone of $50 or $100 that you will be able to pick out free stamp sets or free paper packs. So that's something to really get excited about. Again, that starts January the 3rd. If you need a catalog, please contact me and I will be more than happy to send you a catalog. Okay, so today we are doing probably my last Christmas card for this year, and this might end up being the cards I send out to my family. Sorry if you're watching this is what your card's going to look like. It's called Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly, and this is the front and that's the inside. Now to start off, if I'm out of focus or out of the picture frame, please let me know. I'm trying to watch it on my screen so that I can stay in frame. But I'm working with the camera in a different direction right now, so it's a little hard for me to figure out where my parameters are. All right, this paper stock is, the base is Blueberry Bushel, and it is 11 by 5.5, and then it's scored at 4 1/4. Okay, and we are also using two pieces of Whisper White, and those are 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then we have some scrap of sparkle paper, sparkle glimmer paper. And then this is also done in the ornament is also done in blueberry bushel. And this ribbon is called Seaside Spray. So let me just show you what we will be using today with regard to the stamp sets. We are going to be using, get this out of the way. We're going to be using So Many Stars, and we'll be using this little set of stars there. We will also be using the Christmas Gleaming stamp set, and these are the 3 stamp sets we'll be using. It's Deck the Halls, and this one is And Be Jolly. That's on the inside. Okay, and this is what I used on the inside. And we will also be using the stitch shape dies. Let me get these out of the way for a second. And the dies that I used are these 2 dies. The smaller die I used to cut out this circle or this oval here, and then this larger die I used to cut out the glimmery sparkle glimmer paper. Okay, so those are the 2 largest dies of the ovals that I used, and I believe I've already cut out the I haven't cut out the shape for the of the card yet. I probably should have done that beforehand. So we'll just put that away. Now, let me put this off to the side and get this out. This is the pad from my Stamparatus. I love using this when I'm stamping, when I'm doing my stamping, because it really is a nice cushion base. Now we will also be using, the inks we'll be using today are Blueberry Bushel and Whisper White. We will also be using Versamark because we're going to be doing some heat embossing. And with the heat embossing, we'll be using the white heat embossing powder. And here is the gorgeous ribbon we'll be using. Okay, so further ado, let me get my card base out. I always feel so organized when I'm putting everything together, and then when I go on camera, I just fall apart. So, and naturally I can't get this out of the box of the bottom of the box. Okay, there we go. Okay, put those up there. And a little tip that I've got for you today, I used the Whisper White. When I did the heat embossing, I tried it both ways. I tried it with Versamark and ink, and I also tried it with the Whisper White ink. The Whisper White ink is a pigment ink, and it's very thick compared to our dye inks. Okay, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. Sometimes they do use the color that you're going to be using, or sometimes you only have clear embossing powder and you still want a color to come through, and they'll use the ink, the pigment ink color that they want it to be. Well, one of the things I found that I really didn't like is this was done with the Whisper White pigment ink and then heat embossed with the white embossing powder. Well, look at the difference. This is done with the Versamark, and with the pigment ink, because it's so much thicker than the Versamark, it really kind of muddles your design work. So if you've got a really intricate stamp that you're using, I would suggest always going with the Versamark and hoping that you have the right color of embossing powder that you want to use. Just a shout out on that, so you're not disappointed. Okay, let me just get this off to the side here, and we'll get going on the stamping. Okay. Okay, again, I have the blueberry bushel, which is 11 inches by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5.5. Now, one of the things is I did what I did was I used, where did I put it? Of course, oh, there it is. I used this is the second largest oval die out of the stitched frame dies. And what I did is I measured over halfway on the card, and I made a little tick mark with a pencil, and I know I did it, and I just don't, oh, there it is, okay. Halfway, so that I would know where to put my die. And I brought it down because I also, one of the things I had to be careful of is that I had to make sure that I was going to have enough room for this stamp down here. And one of the things you'll notice is I've got a little piece of ribbon that comes up to the very top of this card to make it look like it's hanging. Okay, so you could come down about here, and on this particular one, I would definitely go ahead and tape this down before you put it through your die cutting machine. And there's some dog hair. I'm sure it's not mine. Yeah, maybe it is. It's great. So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run and go and put this in the die machine, because I have to cut this oval out. Now what you're going to do is you're going to open your card base up and put it through your die machine like that. I'll be right back. I hope everybody's got their Christmas shopping done. I don't. So we've got that done. That's easy enough. All right. So we're done with that. And you want to erase your little tick mark, even though it's going to be covered by ribbon. I'm going to erase it anyway. Okay. All right. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I am going to do the outside of the card. As you can see, I've already heat embossed the ornament, but I will do that again. I do believe I do have a scrap. Let's do that first. Okay, you're also going to need embossing buddy, and the reason for this is to cut down on the static, because this stuff will stick to everything if you don't have this on there. So I'm just gonna, and it's very dry here in Arizona for the most part, so everything attaches to everything else. So my stamp, again, this ornament is from the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. Okay. And we're going to get our block out and get our Versamark here. We're doing a lot of heat embossing. I'm not necessarily a heat embossing girl because it's kind of messy, but I do like the outcome with it. It is pretty. And it gives a little dimension. Okay. Don't rock your block, because that will make your image come out a little blurry. So now I like to keep my embossing powder in a little container like this, because that way I don't have to try and be putting it back in a teeny little bottle. And then I just have a spoon, and we're gonna just put that on here, and then we kind of let it slide down. Oops. Okay, didn't hurt it too much. Okay. And now we're going to heat emboss it. This is going to be a little loud. Let me get that off my mat. Yes, everything goes onto the floor, and then I come in and vacuum every day. So, and one of the things you'll see with what I love about embossing is that you can watch it turn. Watch the embossing stuff turn. Maybe I better take that off of there. It gets real glossy for the most part, depending on the type of, there you go. See how it gets really white? I think that's so pretty. The magic of it all. Okay, so we're done with that. All right, and then we're going to we're also using the Gleaming Ornaments Punch Pack. There are two punches in this package, and this is the other one. Okay, put that back, and we're just going to go in and turn it over and slip it in. And my paper is a little, I don't have a handle on it, so we're going to just line it up and punch it out. And we'll worry about getting that out later. And there you have your beautiful ornament. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and use our embossing buddy. And I have put, the Deck the Halls down here, and then the that little bunch of stars, and we'll show you that in just a second. Sometimes I have to beat it to get it to come out. And I would suggest putting a piece of scrap paper underneath so that you can, if you go off the cardstock when you're stamping, you're not hurting your pad any at all. Okay, so we're going to first of all, and this is all going to be done with Versamark ink. And the first thing we're going to do is the Deck the Halls. The Deck the Halls right there. Let's see if that's straight. Looks straight. And it's a tap, tap, tap motion. Please remember that. It's not a mush, mush, mush. I have some stampers that come in and they just mush it and they get ink everywhere. Makes for a real mess. Okay, we're gonna put that down, and we're gonna get our embossing powder. We're gonna kind of do this in stages. Sometimes you have to give it a really good flick with your finger. Make sure that you don't have any stray powders there, because it will attach itself to your card. Okay, so through the magic, I know. There it goes. Okay. Now, the next area we're going to do is we're going to do the little stars from the So Many Stars bundle. Okay, and this you're going to do randomly. Okay. And this does not have to be precise. And I would also do this in stages. And then you might want to, and you I turn my my stamp around. And again, like I said, you kind of have to do this in stages. Okay, a little bit more heat embossing. Okay, just a few more stamps to make for this, for the front. Oh, yeah, I don't think you want to use the pad tepper, you actually want to use the stamp. Again, I'm rotating it just so it doesn't, so it looks random. And each one of these is going to be a little bit different every time you do it. Okay. And make sure to always cover up your ink pad, because if the powder gets in there, you'll never get it out. And you will end up having to buy a new ink pad. Okay. Okay, almost done here. Okay. And we're just going to have to flick this a little bit. Okay, I've got a small brush here. And there's a spot here that's, if you have a little bit, a small painting brush is always helpful. That's already on there, so, but we'll cover that up later. All right, that's it for the embossing after I get this heated. But I just wanted to get that out of the way, because if that goes, it's just an absolute nightmare to clean up. So let's get this heat embossed, and then we'll get on to the last part of the stamping, which will be the inside of the card. I hope everybody's ready for Christmas. I sure wish I was. But I know my honey's coming in a couple weeks. Well, a week and a half, really, so. And one of the things to always look at is when you're doing your embossing, when you look at it from the side, make sure everything is shiny, because that's the only way you're going to be able to tell if everything is attached to the card. Because if it's not, and you brush it, you're going to brush off whatever image you had on there. Okay, now, one of the things to do is, I'm going to put my embossing buddy away. All right, now let's go ahead and get the inside of the card stamped. And the inside of the card is going to be with, also from the Christmas Gleaming stamp set, is "And Be Jolly This Season." Okay, get this stamp off. And okay, just want to make sure I don't have it upside down. Okay, and we are going to use the Blueberry Bushel ink for this part. Okay. Try and get this in the center and straight. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to clean this off because I don't want to get blue ink on my fingers. This is the Simply Chamois. This is absolutely phenomenal. It looks disgusting, but it actually holds the ink in there. One of the other things I'm going to do is we're going to go back to this cluster of stars, and we're going to use the Blueberry Bushel. But what we're going to do is we're going to stamp off once on the copy paper, and so that'll give us a much lighter background. Make sure everything's done here. Okay, we're going to stamp it off first. And then we'll come in and stamp it by the words, by the sentiment. And I'm going to do that one more time. Oh, I got ink there, of course. Okay, stamp it off on the copy paper. And then I came down like this. Again, you can put this anywhere on the page, but isn't it? It falls back behind the heavier color. So, all right. So the inside of our card is done. I can close this up. That's done. Now, the next and last thing we're going to be doing with the inks is, do you see the halo effect that I have around the stars and the Deck the Halls? What I used is a makeup brush, which I love these, and I got these on Amazon. They are fantastic. And I used the Whisper White ink. Again, it is a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little bit longer. And we're going to come in and we're going to make that halo effect around our clusters of stars. Again, this is a very much more dense ink, and you may have to rub off quite a bit on your copy paper, and just go in lightly at first, and then you can make it heavier as you're going along, and go off the paper. That's why you've got the paper down there, so you don't get anything else dirty. And you don't get ink where you don't want it to be. Might be able to grab some of that from the, yeah. And again, we're going to go around the deck the halls. Sorry, I'm out of frame here a little bit. Sorry about that. And again, you know, just put it around the stars and go off maybe heavier on the stars because that's where it's lighting up the sky, and then let it trail off into the darkness. Okay. All right. That's all there is to that. Whoops. Picking up all kinds of things here. Okay. So I do believe we are done with our inks. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, first off, you want to get this out of the way because this has got ink on it, and it will it will transfer to your cardstock. So we don't want that on there. Okay. Well, we can, you know what, we can do this first. All right. Well, what we can do, we don't need that anymore. Now, what we're going to take is our sparkly gleaming paper, and we're going to tape it to the back of the card. The other thing, I would just check to make sure, because this has got stitching in it, and you don't want that showing through the card. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tape that to the inside of the card. I'm just using Scotch tape, or excuse me, clear tape. A lot of things don't stick very well to the sparkly papers. So instead of trying to attach it from the front and patching it down, it's much easier to do it this way. And then that's why you needed 2 pieces of cardstock. One's for the sentiment, and the other one is to cover this up so that you don't know that that's there. Okay. And make sure that it doesn't come up too high on the top, because you're going to be covering that. You're going to be covering that with this piece of paper on this side. Okay. And for that, we're going to use our multi-purpose liquid glue. And we're just going to glue that down here. You don't need a lot of this. All right. I like to put the paper horizontal to myself because it's easier for me for placement. If you get the top and the 2 sides, it'll fall right down to where you want it at the bottom. And it's rare that I have to do a whole lot of jiggling around to get it straight. And don't push it down until you're sure that it's in the right place. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is the inside. And again, just wanted to make sure that it's going to open this way, and we want our holly jolly to be this way. We don't want to put the card down and have it be in there upside down. Okay. Again, I'm going to turn it horizontal to me. Yep. It's kind of hard when I can't have it right under my nose to see what I'm doing. There you go. Okay, so now for the outside. Okay, let me just have a little drink of my drink here. Okay, now for the ribbon, we're going to put a little piece of tape up here at the top. And one of the things that I use with my tear and tape is I had gone in and I cut a strip when I made this card. I cut it in half because it's too thick for this ribbon. So you just kind of have to judge to where the very center is. Probably shouldn't have. And I'm just going to put that here. And let me just look at that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to use my paper snips here. Okay, and burnish that down. And just use your pick tool to take that paper backing off. And we're just going to let's cut that off straight first. Okay, we're going to put that down here so that it looks like the ornament is hanging. And just cut it off at the end of the top of the card. There you go. Okay, now what we want is the ornament's going to come up a little bit above here. And what I'm going to do, because there's a little bit of a, there's going to be some space, I'm going to put dimensionals on here. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put a glue dot, a mini glue dot at the top up here, because it's going on a fabric on your ribbon, and these mini glue dots really stick to the ribbon extremely well. Now we're going to come in and use some dimensionals. And you take the paper backing off the dimensionals. Okay, and ribbon's not quite straight, but after you put the bow on, you won't see that. Just try to see if you can get your ornament straight. Yep, that looks straight to me. I'm going to push that down. Okay, now we're going to make the bow. This is fun. Okay, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave the ribbon on the spool, and then I'll come in and cut it off later. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to make this with your hand. You're going to have your ribbon all the way down here, a little bit past your small finger, and you're going to spread your two top fingers apart. Okay, and you're going to, this is going to be a double bow, and I want to come underneath your index finger and go around your middle finger and go underneath it, up over your index finger again, and then you're going to come from underneath your index finger and over your middle finger again. And this is when you're going to cut the ribbon off. And I would give yourself a good, it's probably another 6 inches, and cut that off. So what you're going to do now is you are going to come up after you've gone underneath your middle finger for the second time. You're going to come up and you're going to go behind all of you're going to go over and through between your middle finger and your index finger. You're going to bring, yes, I can do this. You're going to bring it up, and you're going to bring it underneath between your two fingers, and you're now going to come back underneath this ribbon, and you're going to pull it tight to the back, and that is your bow. And now you're going to take it off your fingers, and you will pull the bows out just a little bit, but you can fuss with that after you get them off your fingers. And yes, the hardest part is probably getting it off your fingers. Okay, yes, I can do this. I can do it. I did it. Yes. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold it now in the center, and you're going to pull on that ribbon that you just pulled to the back, and that will tighten your loop up. Now you can move that from side to side, decide how you want your bows, and bring them up. And like you said, you're going to fuss with them a little bit. I got to turn my fan on here, guys. Sorry. Let's see what that looks like underneath. It might be better. Yeah, I think that's a little better that way. There you go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I used two mini glue dots to really fasten this down. And I also put it where that ribbon is coming out, because then that locks it in permanently. Okay, another mini glue dot, kind of on the other side. Okay, so again, you're going to fuss with this. I'm going to put it right at the top of the ornament. Okay, and again, fuss with it a little bit more. Cut off some of the end of the ribbon on an angle. And come around and do the other one. Now, one of the other things I did is, because I didn't like where the tails were, I took a mini glue dot and put it underneath each of the tails. And then decided where I wanted them to go. And you can put a little lift in it. Hold it up off the paper. There you go. And another one on the other side. One more. Put it sideways here so it doesn't show. Okay. Get it off my fingernail. Trust me, none of this happens when I'm not doing it on camera. Okay, and then you can just put that wherever you deem necessary, and there you go. Isn't that just the cutest card? I love it. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. Again, if you are interested in buying any of the products, I will have this video posted on YouTube later today. And if you do watch it on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you would like it. And if you want to see any future or be notified of any future videos that I'll be doing, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I would also appreciate it if you would like and share my video here on Facebook. It would greatly help my business. This is what I do for a living. And also it will also be posted on my blog. And on my blog and YouTube is where you're going to find the dimensions and all the products. They will all be linked directly to my Stampin' Up! Store. Again, if you purchase any products and it's under $150, please make sure to use this host code. If it's $150 or over, don't use the host code. You'll get all kinds of little treats and rewards from Stampin' Up! Again, don't forget that celebration is starting January the 3rd for all of those who are not demonstrators. It will be open to the general public on January the 3rd, and it goes through June. Again, I don't oh, no, this says, okay. The mini catalog will be January through June. Celebration is January the 3rd through March the 31st, 2020. Again, thank you so much for coming and visiting with me and watching me fumble along, as I always do. So you're always going to get a laugh when you're watching me. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would, if you need a demonstrator, I'm here for you. Give me a shout. If you need a catalog, send me your information and I will get a catalog out to you right away. Thank you so much for watching my video and taking time out of your busy schedule. I know we're all busy. Have a great day. Bye-bye. And Merry Christmas!